I decided on this version of nail art with Hill that I wouldn't speed anything up, super minor editing, so you can see what I'm doing in real time to get the nail art. I like to use my thumb as a palette. It wipes right off because I'm doing all of this with gel polish, so keep that in mind. We're going to do some holly berries. Now you're going to be like, Hill, I can't see what you're doing. I know. That's because you need your dotting tool to be straight up and down, or you'll end up with like a tail coming off of your dot, and that just really cramps my style. Another thing to think about is I'm switching hands because I'm just using gel polish. I'm not using like art gel or anything, which means it's going to be a little bit thinner consistency and it can move quicker because it's not going to stop spreading until it goes inside your UV or your LED lamp. This one's an LED lamp, so it cures it quite quickly, but you need to get it in if it's right where you want it. Now, you'll see groups of 3 together. These are the berries, and I'm choosing kind of placement according to how it's going to flow across the nail. And the one next to it is not the same as the other one. Like there's 2 groups on that one, 3 on the other. You're also going to notice we're doing 3 fingers on this hand, 2 on the other. I feel really comfortable with things being balanced, not necessarily asymmetrical, but balanced out. This is how it feels comfortable to me. So if this drives you crazy, don't do it exactly like me. Match the hands. Or if it drives your client crazy, if they want them the same, that's totally fair. Now, once those are cured, we're going to go in and put the leafing in. I'm using that same deep green that's on her pointer right here. But when I do it really thin, it's not going to be as dark. Now, I ran my brush through that, and that's still going to be a little bit thick, so I'm going to wipe more product off. You're going to be relieved here. We're not doing typical hollyberry leaves. I need to film that for you. We're going to almost do like pine sprigs. I know, then they're not hollyberries. Again, we do what we want for the look we want. There are not as many rules as we all make up in our heads when it comes to art. In fact, it should be there aren't any rules. So let your little inner artist out and follow me on this, because it fills in your space really well and it's super festive. So I just do a line, and then I just pull sprigs out at an angle to the right, and then on the left side, pull sprigs out to an angle on the left. At the tip, you can kind of just splay them out whichever direction. Think kind of pine needles here. Don't overthink it. If they're starting to blend together, switch and cure that in the lamp, depending on how thin your gel is you're using. Now, if you're using like acrylic paint over natural gel polish, like natural, that's not a natural gel polish. That's not even a thing, by the way. What am I trying to say? Over normal polish, not gel polish. If you're using acrylic paint, you just need to let things dry if you're doing layers all the way before you top coat it. So keep that in mind. For me, the lamp is curing it into place, so I don't have to worry about any air drying because I'm using gel. I also feel like I like gel because if I mess up one part, I can wipe it off because the step before has been cured. So it's kind of an advantage of using gel over like an acrylic paint. When you are filling in your sprigs, you can do 2, you can do 3, but I like to pull them from in between the berries. That's not like a hard, fast rule again, but in my head that makes sense. And then I kind of angle them to fill the space. You almost have to think about movement of the art across the nail. Like, see how this is a berry up in the left-hand corner and then another berry cluster in the bottom right corner that kind of moves as a diagonal across the nail. Something to think about when you're placing your little berry clusters, because you want it to not just be dead center or on the very tip or not feel like it's complete. Another thing I'll do is I'll let that like sprig, if I'm on the end and there's not room, I'll let it fall off the edge. Like I finish it to the edge. That way it looks more like a print is put down on a nail, not that we're just working within this barrier of the almond shape of the nail. Try to think your outside edges past the nail so you can complete the look finishing off the edge. I hope that makes sense. Gosh darn it. Also, when I feel like I don't have enough polish or paint or whatever on my brush nails, I go back and get more. There, I didn't like where the green was. I just wiped it off. It's just that easy when you have gel or gel polish or art gel, because nothing is set in stone until you place it in that lamp. And even then, you could file it off. Let's switch. And I like to do bouncing back and forth. I know that this is going to move faster than an art gel, even faster than an acrylic paint. So you got to kind of know your product a little bit, know how it moves. If you move on to the nail next to it, without curing it, keep an eye on the one that you just completed in case it's starting to bleed further than you want. Another reason I'll switch hands back and forth is, even if I think it's staying in place, I don't want to work on the nail next to it, because what if I brush over it with my hand and now I've ruined that design I just did? So do yourself a favor, switch hands, let it freeze in place. You're really not losing time here because you're always working on a finger. So it's not like I'm putting the other hand in and I'm going to sit and wait. I'll be working on the other hand. This obviously is going to go faster if you have like one finger on each hand. Another question I get is, how much do I charge for this? This is probably a $3 to $4 per nail design. I charge per design, per nail. So on this hand, we're an extra $8 because we have 2 nails we've done with this. On the other hand, we're an extra $12. Or if you feel like, okay, that wasn't super complicated, I'm only going to do one berry on each hand, like maybe it's $2 or $3 per finger. But that's how I like to price art per design, because say I'm really fast at this, people who charge it per time, I don't feel like you should be paid less because you're even worked harder on your skill. I feel like if anything, my clients, they value their time so much, they'd pay me more if I got it done faster. And so that's just something to think about. Do it however you want. I don't think my way is the only way, but it's kind of how I do it. Anyway, I'm going to sneak that into the edge, pull another one, and I kind of curved that. Did you see? Like, you don't have to have your spiks straight. They can bend. We're mimicking nature here. I love when we mimic nature because it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be there. Now, if you don't like it all together, you can of course wipe it off and go again, and you won't take off anything you've previously cured. I am getting close to the end here. This is kind of real time, just so you get an idea. We were creating it as we go. Now, if this is something I've repeated over and over and over, it obviously would go very fast. This is the first time I did it this way. So account for that when you're booking things. Make sure that you give yourself time to do art. Art is a really stressful thing to produce on a tight time budget. So my clients, I've learned them, they've learned me. I kind of know when they're doing a lot versus not. And I always account for some art in the normal time. Even if they go solid, that just means I get a minute to breathe in between, go grab some food, and stand up and walk around. Really, really important. Sorry you're sitting here through her curing. Let me grab these out. Now we're going to top coat. Over the art, people struggle with wanting it. Some people like it to have a little texture. Some people don't want it to have any texture. I find when I just use gel polish over art gel, there's less texture. There's less thickness there. But you can always float your top coat and make it more smooth. Or if it's not smooth enough, do one layer, cure it, and then float a second layer over the top. Gel self-levels, so you can get a very smooth finish if you care to. So always keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and be a little generous with this top coat when I put it down. I always am. I really like a good barrier on that top of the nail and a good shine. And sometimes I find if it's a 30-second cure, I'll even extend that just a little when we are in a really busy time of year, like the holidays, so that maybe there's a little barrier. I don't know if there's any science to that, but gosh darn it, I'm gonna try. So I always give a generous coat. I'm never pressing my top coat in hard. I want it to float a little bit and give them a nice protection to their shine. Okay, I'm waiting a second here because if I hurry and just do the thumb, because you notice I do the thumb separate, these 4 that are in there wouldn't have the full 30 seconds. So I talk to my client, I delay for a second, and then I'm going to take my time with putting this top coat on, definitely getting that fuzzy off I just spotted. And that gives the other hand in there a minute to finish curing. When you do thumb separate, there is a different rhythm to it, and you have to keep in mind your curing time for what is in the light. And you can see me kind of float it, check the line of light, and then I pick up my lamp and I hand it to my client. That keeps their thumb flat in the light. It is not necessary. My light, you can do all 5 fingers. Just some people's thumbs tip to the side, and then it's that outside edge that doesn't get cured, and then that's the busiest edge they use, and I just can't have that. All right, here's our final look. Thank you for sticking with me today. I hope you enjoyed.